Hi, this is Dr. Sangeeta. Back to another lecture of Dental Pathshala. In today's video, we are going to talk about the root canal irrigants. So, without further ado, let's jump into it. And before we get started, make sure you subscribe to our channel and click on the bell icon. That way you get a notification as soon as I release a video lecture. Now talking about root canal irrigants. See, to understand the root canal irrigants, the first thing you should understand is that सिर्फ झाड़ू से गंदगी साफ नहीं होती है. अगर आपको घर साफ रखना है या फिर आपको फ्लोर साफ रखना है, then you need to put water and you need to wipe the floor. So, ऐसे ही आपको मोपिंग इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. ऐसे ही आपको पोछा मारना जरूरी है अगर आपको सफाई रखनी है. तो बिल्कुल सही बात, इसीलिए घर में झाड़ू के साथ साथ पोछा भी लगता है. तो ऐसे ही इन द सिमिलर वे रूट कैनाल को, टू क्लीन द रूट कैनाल, वी शुड नॉट जस्ट डू द ड्राई क्लीनिंग, ऑल्सो वी शुड put some irrigant, also we should put some liquid, and then we should clean all the canal. So this is about root canal irrigants which we are going to talk about in the today's video. ऐसे ही अगर हमें सफाई रखनी है किसी भी जगह की, तो उस जगह में पोछा मारना भी जरूरी है. या तो पानी डाल के वाइपर से साफ कर देते हैं या फिर पोछा लगाते हैं. पोछा लगाने का मतलब है कि हम EDTA फाइल में डाल के और उससे साफ करते हैं, और पानी डाल के वाइपर लगाने का मतलब है हम लोग सोडियम हाइपोक्लोराइड पूरा भर देते हैं और फिर हम लोग उसको साफ कर देते हैं. तो देयर आर टू वेज टू क्लीन अ कैनाल. सो बेसिकली रूट कैनाल इरिगेंट्स is basically these are the irrigants. So these are the material, the liquid material which we are using to clean the canal. ठीक है. So this is a part of our BMP, which is the biomechanical preparation, which is the cleaning and shaping of the canal. So these irrigants, तो जो भी हम लोग जो पोछा लगा रहे हैं, राइट, जो पोछा लगाने में जो हम जब नॉर्मली पोछा लगाते हैं हम लोग नॉर्मल पानी से नहीं लगाते हैं, क्योंकि हम चाहते हैं कि हम पोछा लगा रहे हैं तो मक्खियां भी ना आए घर में, सारे कीटाणु भी मर जाएं. तो बेसिकली रूट कैनाल इरिगेंट में क्या है, हम लोग जो पोछा लगा रहे हैं उसमें हम लोग कुछ ड्रॉप्स ऑफ कोई लिक्विड डाल रहे हैं. बेसिकली ये कोई लिक्विड है जिससे क्या होगा, सारे के सारे काम एक साथ हो जाएंगे कि मक्खियां भी नहीं आएंगी, जर्म्स भी मर जाएंगे, कोरोना भी नहीं रहेगा. ऐसे करके हम क्या यूज कर रहे हैं लिक्विड, वो हमारा रूट कैनाल इरिगेंट है. उस लिक्विड की क्या प्रॉपर्टी होनी चाहिए, वो हमारा रूट कैनाल इरिगेंट्स है. So talking about the properties of root canal irrigants. Now root canal irrigants, these are these material which are cleaning basically the canal, which are removing all the debris. So because this is the root, right? So this was our whole pulp, right? This is the root canal. So root canal, while we are cleaning this root canal from a file, so this is how a file is going cleaning, right? So here and there most of the debris is also left, and most important thing is when you put the file inside and you clean it, there are high chances it may break also, and there are chances that here and there are some tissues, there are some debris which is already left. So the property of this irrigant is that it should go inside the root canal, and then it dissolve all these debris. It can dissolve all these debris and it can flush this debris out. This is the main principle, this is the main motto of a root canal irrigant, that it is dissolving the tissue which is present inside the root canal. Either it can be a organic material or it can be the inorganic material. And also very important thing is that it should flush the debris out. So all the debris which is present inside, once we put the water, then this water should have this property that it should take out this red part, right? It should take out the debris part. So this is the property of, this should be a property of a root canal irrigant, and it should lubricate the canal. There should not be any dry thing which should be left, and the surface area should be low. Now understand the surface area. What do you mean by low surface area? That means this is our canal, right? I have enlarged it, the canal. Okay. Now in this canal, if I am placing some irrigant, that means I am placing some liquid. Okay, and actually this canal is like this, right? I have enlarged it. So the liquid which I am putting in, it should reach to the narrowest part of the canal. This is what we want, right? So for that, I want that it should be hydrophilic, not hydrophobic. That the whatever I am putting it should go inside the narrow canal, not just stop here, not just stop here. So I want it to flow inside, so that even in the narrow, even in the curved canal, it can go, and it can, where the file is not going, the lateral canals. See, cleaning the lateral canal, there is only way to clean a lateral canal, which is our root canal irrigants only. So what I want is it should go into the lateral canals, and it should clean all the areas wherein the file cannot reach. So this is what we want. That is the reason we want the low surface area of this root canal irrigant. It should be antiseptic. It should kill all the microorganisms which are present. Suppose if we talk about a lateral canal. Suppose if there is a lateral canal which is present. Okay. So I want that it should go inside and clean all the microorganisms which are present in the, so it should be antiseptic, and also it should remove this smear layer. So these all should be the property of a root canal irrigant. So today's video we are going to talk about some root canal irrigant. So the first root canal irrigant which was used in the 1940. Now from this 1940, you can remember 140 degrees Celsius, 140 degree Fahrenheit. So earlier in 1940s, we used to use this hot steam of water. The water of this temperature, 140 to 170 degree Fahrenheit. And guys, we can also use acid, citric acid, phosphoric acid, polyacrylic acid, and some alkaline like sodium hypochlorite is very important. Sodium hydroxide, oxidative, again peroxide is important, and chelating agent we have EDT. And also in the end of the video we are going to talk about some modern root canal irrigants and the syringes which we use for irrigating the canal. There are some special syringes. So sodium hypochlorite is basically the irrigant which we use in our dental practice because it dissolves the organic material. Now there are two things. One is dissolving the organic material, one is dissolving the inorganic material. So basically our sodium hypochlorite, it dissolves the organic material, and then inorganic material EDTA removes. So this is the reason we use EDTA first. We actually put in our clinical practice, how we do this root canal, how we use this root canal irrigant, how we do this BMPs. We actually know our file. We put some EDTA on our file basically, and then we insert the file into the root canals. And then after filing for some time, we use sodium hypochlorite. We flush all the root canal with our sodium hypochlorite. So sodium hypochlorite is basically working on the organic material, sodium hypochlorite, and inorganic is removing, the EDTA is removing all the inorganic material. So these are the two main agents which we use in the root, which we use as the root canal irrigant in our private practice. So also we have the chloroform in which we dissolve the GP, and there are two kind of bacteria, the primary bacteria and the primary bacteria are the bacteria which are present in a root canal. So these are our gram-negative obligate anaerobes. These are our bacteriocytes. And we have bacteria which are present in our failed root canal treatment, which is our E. faecalis, which is our Enterococcus faecalis. So these are the gram-positive facultative anaerobes. Basically in root canal always there will be, because see, root canal is very deep inside the tooth. There is no oxygen coming from outside. So any bacteria which is present in the root canal are always anaerobic bacteria. Can you remember at least this much? So initially there are gram-negative anaerobic bacteria, and these are obligatory. And later on in the failed root canal treatment, there are gram-positive facultative anaerobic bacteria which are seen. So guys, let's discuss these root canal irrigants one by one. Water was used earlier in 1940s, and then there was a concept of acid came in, that there was a phosphoric acid, then hydrochloric acid and citric acid. Citric acid removes the smear layer better than any acid. If you remember, in the acid we have studied the citric acid, we have studied the polyacrylic acid, and we have studied the phosphoric acid, right? The phosphoric acid. So out of phosphoric acid and polyacrylic acid, citric acid removes the smear layer better than any of these. But the disadvantage was there was a formation of crystals in the canal. So the next concept came was of saline. Saline was sterile of course, because saline kills the bacteria. As if anyone is having throat infection, we ask them to have a hot saline rinse, yeah, lukewarm saline rinse. So it, of course, it kills all the bacteria, so it is a sterile, but there is a less damage also occurring. But the one disadvantage of the saline is that it has less dissolving properties. But we also want that in our root canal, that once we put this irrigant, suppose if there are lateral canals present, right? So if we put this irrigant, then it should dissolve all of the pulp, all of the organic and inorganic material. So saline has less of the dissolving properties. So next was our hydrogen peroxide. This hydrogen peroxide, H2O2, was used in combination with the sodium hypochlorite. So there are two basically effect or two actions of the hydrogen peroxide. One is the effervescence effect. Effervescence effect is like bubbles uthte hain, bubbles came. So these kind of bubbles, they push out the tissue debris. So suppose if there is some activity, bubbly activity going on, so along the wall it dissolves all of the debris against the gravity. So this is one effect of the hydrogen peroxide, which is the effervescence effect. It has effervescence effect and it releases nascent oxygen. So basically in a strictly anaerobic environment, and it is less effective as a solvent. Also there is less damage to the periapical tissues with the hydrogen peroxide, and it is used whenever there is apical constriction. When the apical constriction is destroyed, for example in case of a perforation, we use hydrogen peroxide. Then came our sodium hypochlorite, which is very important root canal irrigant. Sodium hypochlorite is all time, it is one of the favorite irrigant of all the clinicians in India now. It has been used since decades. So there was in the World War I, there was a physician who was named Dakin. This physician, he used sodium hypochlorite for the wounds. So in the World War I, there was a lot of fight going on because of the war. So this physician used sodium hypochlorite on wounds. We actually use sodium hypochlorite on wounds now also. So this was the time when he started using this sodium hypochlorite, and the solution, he used sodium hypochlorite along with water, and this Dakin solution was called as the Dakin solution. So this solution is a reducing agent. This is a clear straw color liquid, straw color solution. This is a clear, that means transparent, it is somewhere more like, and it contains 5% of chlorine. Now this solution, the sodium hypochlorite, this is available in the name of Clorox and Purex. So this Clorox, it comes in a concentration of 5% chlorine. Now this Clorox, we take 50% of dilution and we dissolve it in the water, and therefore we come to a 2.6% concentration of sodium hypochlorite which we use. So in dentistry, as a root canal irrigant, we use 2.6 to 5.25% of sodium hypochlorite, and the sodium hypochlorite is dissolved in 60 degrees of warm water. So basically in a water bath it is placed, this is dissolved in the 60-degree warm water bath, and then we prepare the sodium hypochlorite solution, and if we want to use for 10 weeks then we make a concentration of 4.25, and for within 1 week if we want to use, then we make a concentration of 2.6%. Now how this sodium hypochlorite act, because I have been telling you this is very important guys, this is very important. So how it acts? It penetrates the bacterial cell wall, and then it combined with the protoplasm of the bacteria, and then it do the destruction of the bacteria. So basically It first invades from the cell membrane, and then after it invades the cell membrane, it basically comes and combines with the protoplasm of the bacteria. And then after combines with the protoplasm, it disrupts the DNA. So it breaks the DNA of a cell. So this is how this sodium hypochlorite works. The disadvantage of sodium hypochlorite is that it is very toxic. See, sodium hypochlorite is very alkaline, okay, and the sodium hypochlorite, it burns. If we put the sodium hypochlorite in gingiva, no, it is going to burn. The patient is going to shout. So it also, if suppose there is periapical perforation, right? If there is a apical perforation, and then if sodium hypochlorite seeps out, then there is going to be a swelling and the pain, and there may be necrosis. So it is very toxic for the living tissues, and it has also some unacceptable taste. It has horrible taste. Trust me, it has horrible taste. And if it goes inside, it actually has a corrosive nature. So it burns the tissues. The vapor of sodium hypochlorite, it can irritate to eye also. So there is an alternate irrigation which came with the sodium hypochlorite along with the hydrogen peroxide. So I've told you hydrogen peroxide, we use sodium hypochlorite also. Next is our glyoxide. Now glyoxide is, break the term, gly is glycerol, is our glycerol. This is our glyoxide. So it is a glycerol, and oxide is our carbamide peroxide. So it is a kind of peroxide which is a carbamide peroxide. So this is available as anhydrous glycerol base. Basically it does the decomposition. So it is used as irrigation because it is decomposing all of the tissues which are present. It is tolerable. The taste of glyoxide is tolerable, and it has increased solvent action. Basically it dissolves all the pulp. So it is somewhere, it is good. It is an actually excellent irrigant. If we talk about, it has more germicidal effect if we compare with the hydrogen peroxide. So it is good, and therefore this material glyoxide is best used in narrow canals and curved canals, utilizing the slippery effect of the glycerol. So this material has got a high surface area, so it just goes within the small, very small, thin canals, curved, narrow canals. So this is a good irrigant if we talk about the narrow as well as the curved canal. Now talking about the chlorhexidine gluconate. So chlorhexidine digluconate is used in a 2% concentration, and this has a broad spectrum antimicrobial effect. Basically this chlorhexidine gluconate, as you all know, it kills the bacteria, so it is very effective against E. faecalis. And let me tell you one thing, that if we are doing root canal treatment, no, that case scenario we always use chlorhexidine gluconate, because it act against that bacteria. So this chlorhexidine digluconate is used for the most common pathogen which is found in the root canal, and it is less toxic, but there is no removal of the smear layer with this irrigant. Now also if we use the sodium hypochlorite, there was no removal of the smear layer. Removal of smear layer is going to come in action when we reach to the EDTA. So till now there is no removal of the smear layer. This Ruddle solution, if we talk about, it is a combination of both sodium hypochlorite and EDTA. So we are going to talk next about it. But till now, till the chlorhexidine gluconate, there is no smear layer removal. So how this chlorhexidine gluconate works? It goes inside the cell membrane and it coagulates with the cytoplasmic content. So this is how this chlorhexidine gluconate works. So there is a cytoplasmic precipitation which occurs in the bacteria. Now coming to Ruddle solution. Now Ruddle solution, most of the students, they have Ruddle solutions coming in their exam for 2-marker questions. So if you have 2-marker questions coming for your exam, it may come for a 5-marker question also. This Ruddle solution contains sodium hypochlorite. If you remember sodium hypochlorite concentration, we use the concentration of 2.5 to 5.0, somewhere around on an average if we take. So 5% concentration of sodium hypochlorite, we are talking about Ruddle solution now. Okay, Ruddle solution, 5% sodium hypochlorite, and we use EDT. As I have told you, we use EDT also. Always we use, for root canal irrigants, we use 17% of EDTA. So there is nothing hard and fast. If we talk about EDTA also, we will be using EDTA in this concentration only. If we are using sodium hypochlorite concentration, maximum we are going to use for 5% as a root canal irrigant. Now root canal irrigant, let me tell you one thing, that the amount of root canal irrigant which we are putting in is more important than the concentration of the root canal irrigant. Because see, let me tell you one thing. अगर हमें पोछा मारना है ना, if I want to wipe some floor, then it is important that how much water I am putting in, rather than the things which I am putting into the water. For example, if I am putting some Lysol into the water, that is not important. The more water I am throwing, it is cleaning more of the floor, it is cleaning more of the surface, right? This is how the same thing happens with the root canal irrigant also. The amount of root canal irrigant is more important than the concentration of the root canal irrigant. And there is one more thing which is in the Ruddle solution, which is our Hypack. So Hypack is basically a dye which is used in angiogram, which is used in arteriographs, which is used in urographs, basically nephrotomographies also we use this dye. This dye basically, if this is a radio opaque, okay, if we use this Ruddle solution into the canal, so the canals are going to be radio opaque, and once we take the X-ray after we use this Ruddle solution, then we can easily see these canals in the radiograph itself. So see, this is something which is different is coming in the Ruddle solution. So this is radio opaque, this is water soluble, and this has a pH of 6.7 to 7.7, and this Ruddle solution is stable at room temperature, so we can store it also. There is no worry about storing it. So it is used to visualize the microanatomy of the lateral canals. So this is about the Ruddle solution. Now coming to our ECA, which is our electrochemically activated water. So electrochemically activated water, as the name suggests, it is electrochemically activated. That means it is going to have anode and the cathode, right? So it is kept for 48 hours, and then there is free radicals which are formed, anode and cathode. So there are two types, anolyte and catholyte. So basically this electrochemically activated water is a good cleaning, is also a good detergent, and it is a good oxidizing agent. It is also a good antimicrobial, but it is difficult to make, so we don't use it. Now coming to the best root canal irrigant, which is our EDTA. So EDTA is our ethylene diamine tetraacetic acid. Now Nygaard Oatsby first suggested this material to use as the root canal irrigant, and he used it for cleaning and widening the canals. So how this EDTA works? First of all, the EDTA forms a complex with the calcium. So it makes the calcium chelate solution. So this is a chelating agent. If you remember in the beginning we have talked about chelating agents, we are going to talk about the EDTA. So it is forming the calcium chelating solution, and with the calcium ion of the dentine this is binding. How this is making the calcium chelate solution? See, in the dentine we have calcium present, right? So it binds to the calcium which is present in the dentine, and there is a chelation which is formed. So this is the calcium chelate. So this calcium chelate, when this calcium bind to the chelate of EDTA, it forms a chelation which makes the dentine friable and easy to come. So it is weakening all the dentine which is present adjacent. So it is basically removing all of the dentine. It is making this dentine weak. It is making this dentine friable and easy to remove with the help of instrument, easy to remove with the help of a file. So this is how it is used. EDTA is a best cleaning and shaping material for root canal. It is also used for enlarging, debridement and disinfection. Now how do we prepare this EDTA? There is in EDTA salt, there is disodium salt of EDTA which we take 17 grams, and distilled water we take 100 milliliter, and also we take 5 normality of sodium hydroxide which we take for 9.25 ml, and then we mix and prepare this EDTA solution. So EDTA is making a complex with the calcium of dentine and making a chelating agent, making a chelating solution which softens the dentine, which weakens the dentine, and therefore it is easy. Dentine is easy then to come out. Once the dentine is softened, then like a floor. we have so many stains present in the floor, and these stains were made long time back, so these are persistent from a long time. And if I want to dissolve these stains now, I have to weaken these stains, so that once I mop it or once I use the wiper, it should come out easily. So this is how EDTA is working. It has an antimicrobial property, and it removes the smear layer. So this is one thing which is special about the EDTA, that it removes the smear layer. So till now only citric acid we talked about has removed the smear layer, and then the EDTA. So it removes the smear layer, which is a special thing about EDTA. So effect of it removes the smear layer in the dentine up to 15 micrometer deep. So it removes the smear layer within 15 micrometer of depth. So this EDTA is actually forming the calcium chelate solution from the dentine, taking calcium from the dentine and making dentine weak and making dentine friable. So this is how the EDTA works. It removes the smear layer. How do we use this EDTA? There are three ways to use this EDTA. Either we can put 2 to 3 drops of EDTA in the canal, and then we can put the file. Second thing is, we can pump the EDTA into the canal with the help of the syringe. And third thing is, how we use EDTA is, we actually place this EDTA, we apply it on the instrument, and then we put the file into the canal. So this is how we use the EDTA. So EDTA is placed into the orifice, and then we do continue the cake cleaning and the shaping. We continue doing our BMP. So also, if we add Cetavlone is an antimicrobial agent. Basically it is a germicidal. If we add this Cetavlone 0.84 grams, so it also acts as antimicrobial. So this is like we are adding some kind of antibiotic to the EDP. So this reduces the inflammation, also it reduces the germs. So guys, we are using syringe to put this material into it. So one thing is, either you take a disposable plastic syringe, which we use for putting LA. Either it can be 2.5 or 5 ml of syringe, 25 or 75 gauge syringe we use. And we bend the syringe to an obtuse angle. See, we bend this syringe to obtuse angle, and then we insert. See, the important thing is that we should not put the pressure from the syringe directly into the apex, because then there are chances that we may perforate it, and there are high chances that it may go into the periapical tissues, and there may be necrosis if we are using sodium hypochlorite. This is the reason we are studying all this, because we don't want any complication to happen, and if it is happening, then we should be aware about the consequences. And the most important thing is that we should know the reason why it is happening, right? So suppose, guys, this is our root canal, right? So this syringe, there is a special designed syringe. Okay, this special designed syringe, no, is like this. So it takes the solution out from here. So this is a non-cutting tip. The solution is not coming out from here, because otherwise it will seep into the periapical tissues. So this special type of syringe with a side vent for irrigation is our Luer lock syringe. This is a special designed syringe, especially used for the root canal irrigant. So this is our Luer lock syringe. Okay, you can also use the utmost important thing. See, if you are using the irrigation, if you are using a syringe for irrigation, is that there should be space in the root canal. See, it should not tightly fit into the root canal. So there should be space if you are using the syringe, that it should go inside, all of the irrigant can move around, and the syringe should be spacious enough that it is easily going and easily coming out. And there is a most frequently asked question in the endo practical, is that why to bend the syringe. See, suppose if you are not bending the syringe, then suppose if this is a normal syringe, and if you are not bending the syringe, that means the syringe is going to directly put pressure, directly put all the material into the periapical area. So this is the reason we are actually bending the syringe to an obtuse angle. And we have to, after this, we have to dry the canal with the help of paper points, and never ever use compress air. So when you have the air water spray, right, attached along with the tray, along with the chair. So this compressed air you should never use in the root canal. You are not supposed to ever use spray to dry the root canal. You need to always use the paper points, because if you are using compressed air, then there are high chances that the patient may get emphysema. So because when the air bubbles, they penetrate into the periapical tissues. This is the reason we never used compressed air. If we want to dry the canal, we should always use the paper points. So guys, there is a new material which has come in the market, which is our MTAD. Now this is also frequently asked question. MTAD is a combination of MTAD. It is a mixture. M represent mixture of, T for tetracycline, A for acid. Which acid are we using in this mixture? This is our citric acid. If you remember, citric acid removes the smear layer. So this MTAD whole complex, it removes the smear layer. So, and we have D. D represent the detergent for our surface area, because it is providing the surface area so that it can go inside and clean. So this particular mixture is an antibacterial mixture because we are using tetracycline. So basically final rinsing is done with this MTAD solution nowadays. And if you are using this root canal treatment, no, that means you have to use MTAD solution. Like this is, you have to use only MTAD solution because you want to clean all the bacterial contamination. So final rinsing should be done with the MTAD solution. And in tetracycline we use doxycycline basically. So MTAD is a tetracycline, citric acid and the detergent solution. So talking about our ultrasonic instruments, also for irrigation we use ultrasonic instrument. In ultrasonic and basically sonic instrument, we can say endosonic to be specific. So endosonic instrument, we have ultrasonic and we have sonic instruments. This was given by Martin and Cunningham. Now the frequency which we use for ultrasonic instrument is our 20 to 30 kilohertz, and used for sonic is our 1 to 6 hertz. Now how this ultrasonic instrument are working for irrigation is that there are two things. One is the implosion or the cavitation. Basically they produces, because of this vibration they are producing these bubbles. Okay, so these vibrations like that, like how we talked about in peroxide, if you remember, effervescence kind of effect. So but this is more destructive. These instruments are less destructive. So the vibrations of the liquid, they are producing some compressions, they are producing some negative pressure. This negative pressure is removing all the debris all around. And second one is the acoustic streaming. This was introduced by Ahmed. So this is how the sonics and ultrasonic are basically working. Also we have lasers. Laser, we have carbon dioxide laser, Nd:YAG laser. So these are the laser which we use for root canal irrigation, but we don't use it because there are high chances if we can also go inside. If we go inside, there are high chances that if it goes beyond the apex, then we can also injure the tissues. And this laser require light. This laser required specs and all, like sunglasses, and this is a highly complicated thing, so we don't use it practically in India. So guys, this is about the root canal irrigants. This we have talked about in this video. So guys, there are 3 irrigants which removes the smear layer. One is our citric acid, another one is EDTA, and the third one you are going to comment in the description box below. And that's it for today's lecture. I hope that you enjoyed today's lecture, and if you feel that you have learned something new today, then go ahead and hit the comment box and the like button, because this helped me to help you skyrocket your career and knowledge while you stay at home with your family.